writing in his 58-page annual letter that the economy is facing, quote, considerable turbulence. He's saying that the short-term effects from tariffs is likely to have inflationary outcomes and, quote, whether or not the menu of tariffs causes a recession remains in question, but it will slow down growth.
JPMorgan has issued a chilling forecast that the S&P 500 could plummet by as much as 30%. The global economy is on shaky ground, and recent events suggest we're just at the start of a significant downturn.
He reminds readers that stagflation in the 1970s didn't stop the trend of rising rates, noting that even though interest rates have come down recently, this trend could still reverse.
Let's delve into what this means for you and your investments. The impact of Trump's tariffs. Trump's tariffs have become a focal point in this economic mess. Initially, many believed these tariffs would be temporary. However, the reality is proving much different. Businesses are now facing increased costs, and consumers are feeling the pinch. The tariffs are not just numbers on a balance sheet, they affect everyday lives. Higher import fees lead to rising prices for goods. This creates a ripple effect throughout the economy. As prices climb, consumer spending is likely to decline. When consumers cut back, businesses suffer. This can lead to reduced hiring and increased layoffs, setting off a chain reaction that could plunge us into recession. Market reactions and predictions. The immediate reaction from the markets has been one of panic. Investors are scrambling to adjust their positions. The fear of a significant downturn is palpable. Many are questioning whether the economy can withstand the pressure of ongoing tariffs. Stock prices are falling, and the volatility is alarming. Predictions of a 30% drop in the S&P 500 are not taken lightly. Analysts are adjusting their forecasts, and many are bracing for further declines. The uncertainty surrounding the tariffs is creating a toxic environment for investors. GDP projections and economic growth. JPMorgan's projections indicate a contraction in real GDP. They foresee growth dropping by 0.3% year over year. This is a stark contrast to earlier expectations of a thriving economy. The slowdown is not just a blip, it signals a deeper issue. When GDP contracts, it reflects a shrinking economy. This can lead to reduced investments and lower consumer confidence. As businesses scale back, the effects trickle down. The prospects for economic growth are looking dim, and this is worrying for everyone involved. Rising unemployment rates. As the economy weakens, unemployment rates are expected to rise. JPMorgan predicts an increase to 5.3%. This is not just a statistic, it represents real people facing job losses. The implications are far-reaching, affecting families and communities alike. When unemployment rises, consumer spending typically falls. This creates a vicious cycle. Fewer jobs mean less income, leading to decreased spending. As demand dwindles, businesses are forced to make tough decisions, which further exacerbates the situation. Supply chain and demand issues. Supply chain disruptions are also a significant concern. With tariffs in place, the flow of goods is being impacted. Businesses face higher costs and delays. This creates uncertainty in the marketplace. As demand declines, inventory levels rise. Retailers may find themselves with excess stock they cannot sell. This is problematic for manufacturers and suppliers. The entire supply chain feels the strain, leading to potential layoffs and further economic decline. The stagflationary threat. Stagflation is a term that many are beginning to hear again. It describes a situation where inflation rises while economic growth stagnates. This is precisely what JPMorgan fears may happen next. The combination of rising prices and falling growth creates a perfect storm. When stagflation occurs, it becomes challenging for policymakers to respond effectively. Traditional tools to combat inflation may worsen economic stagnation. This leaves the economy vulnerable and uncertain. Federal Reserve's response. The Federal Reserve's role in this scenario is critical. Their decisions will shape the economic landscape moving forward. Currently, there are discussions about rate cuts. However, the timing and effectiveness of these cuts remain in question. As the Fed navigates this complex situation, they must weigh the risks carefully. Cutting rates in a slowing economy may not provide the relief many hope for. The challenges ahead are immense, and the path forward is fraught with uncertainty. The role of inflation. Inflation is a critical factor in our current economic landscape. It affects purchasing power and consumer behavior. As inflation rises, consumers face higher prices for essential goods and services. This creates a dilemma. When prices increase, spending often declines. Consumers may choose to save rather than spend, which can further slow economic growth. JPMorgan's forecasts indicate inflation will continue to rise. The tariffs implemented are expected to exacerbate the situation. Higher import prices directly translate to increased costs for consumers. As inflation persists, it becomes a significant barrier to economic recovery. Consumers are caught in a cycle of rising costs and stagnant wages. This dynamic can lead to a decrease in overall consumer confidence. When confidence declines, businesses struggle. They may hold back on investments and hiring. This can create a downward spiral that affects the entire economy. The labor market stability. The stability of the labor market is crucial during economic downturns. As the economy slows, the demand for workers typically decreases. This leads to rising unemployment rates, which can further strain consumer spending. JPMorgan predicts that unemployment could reach 5.3%. This figure is alarming. It signifies real job losses for many individuals and families. As companies face reduced demand, they often respond by cutting hours or laying off employees. This creates a ripple effect. When people lose their jobs, they tend to spend less, which further impacts the economy. The interconnectedness of the labor market and the economy cannot be overstated. A stable labor market is essential for economic recovery. However, with rising unemployment, we may see a prolonged period of economic stagnation. The future of job creation. Job creation is vital for economic health. However, the current climate raises questions about future employment opportunities. With the looming threat of recession, businesses are hesitant to hire. JPMorgan's analysis suggests that demand for workers could plummet. This could lead to a significant slowdown in job creation. Companies may opt for automation or other cost-saving measures instead of hiring. As the economy contracts, the focus shifts to preserving existing jobs rather than creating new ones. This is a concerning trend. It signals a lack of confidence in economic recovery. Without robust job creation, consumer spending will likely remain low. This can create a vicious cycle. Less spending leads to fewer jobs, which in turn leads to even less spending. Tariff implications on global trade. The implications of tariffs on global trade are profound. They alter the dynamics of international markets. As countries impose tariffs, the cost of goods increases, leading to a slowdown in trade. This is not just a local issue, it has global repercussions. Countries affected by tariffs may retaliate, leading to a trade war. Such conflicts can disrupt supply chains and hinder economic growth. JPMorgan warns that the current tariff environment may lead to a prolonged period of uncertainty. Businesses dislike uncertainty, and this can stifle investment. Without investment, innovation suffers and economic growth stagnates. The interconnectedness of global economies means that issues in one region can quickly spread. As tariffs escalate, the risk of a global recession increases. This is a worrying trend for investors and consumers alike. Potential market outcomes. The potential outcomes for the market are concerning. With predictions of a 30% drop in the S&P 500, investors must prepare for volatility. The possibility of a recession creates an uncertain environment. As the economy slows, stock prices are likely to decline. This can lead to panic selling among investors. When fear takes over, markets can experience sharp declines. JPMorgan's forecasts indicate that the S&P 500 could fall to levels not seen in years. This is a stark reminder of the fragility of the market. Investors need to be aware of the risks and adjust their strategies accordingly. Understanding market trends is crucial for navigating this uncertain landscape. Investors should remain vigilant and informed. Being proactive can mitigate potential losses. Preparing for the future. By preparing for the future, investors can position themselves for long-term success. The road ahead may be rocky, but with the right strategies, it is possible to weather the storm. If you're concerned about your financial security and are thinking about investing, check out the first link in the description. It's the platform I use. Interactive. Enjoyed this video so far, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our YouTube channel for additional great content.